Today, we are diving into a huge political fight in the US, one that perfectly exposes the woke PC crowd's hypocrisy and how conservatives are being squeezed in the game. The battleground, the Donald Trump-led push to scrap the filibuster in the United States Senate. Yes, that rule requiring 60 votes for most legislation. He and Republicans argue it's time to kill it. Let's unpack this logically with the facts and numbers and see why the left's outrage feels a bit selective. First, what's going on? The government has been partially shut down since October 1st because Congress couldn't agree on funding. The CBO estimates this shutdown could cost the economy between 7 billion and 14 billion, shaving up to 2% of GDP in 4 quarters. Republicans hold a 53-47 majority in Senate, so in principle they can act, but they're blocked by the filibuster requirement. Trump says, "Get rid of it now." Here's the conservative take. If you are in power, you should able to govern. The filibuster gives the minority a veto over everything. Hardcore anti-majoritarian. Meanwhile, the left screams about democracy and checks and balances when it's convenient. Now the left's angle. They say scrapping the filibuster is undemocratic, a threat to minority rights, a path to tyranny of the majority. Fair points if it were applied consistently, but do those complaints hold when the left itself used the filibuster rule for years, or when they are fine with forcing progressive agenda items via reconciliation? The track record shows double standards. Also, the left's outrage conveniently ignores that the shutdown hits real people. Furloughed federal workers, 750,000 of them are without pay. Flights delayed because air traffic control staffing is tanking. One facility logged 40-minute delays in Denver, 53 minutes in Newark. So who's being hurt? Not the technocrats yelling about checks and balances. It's everyday Americans. From a pro-free market, small government, conservative perspective, the filibuster is a tool of legislative obstruction, especially by the left when they are not in power. They claim to defend the minority, yet when they hold power, they push massive spending, mandates, PC culture, and expect majorities to roll over. When Republicans say, "Okay, we will govern," they're met with screams of anti-democratic. So here's the logic. The left doesn't actually love democratic process. They love when outcome aligns with them. When not, process becomes the enemy. Other angle. The left demands progressive policies, higher spending, wealth redistribution, stronger regulatory states. They typically need majorities, but when the majority wants to govern with their mandate, perhaps by cutting spend, reducing regulatory burden, strengthening defense, tightening immigration, the left blocks via the filibuster and cries foul when blocked. If they believed in consistent principle, they'd support or oppose the filibuster always, not just when their side is out. Why is this important? Because if you believe in small government, individual liberty, and free markets, rule by obstruction is antithetical. Government shutdowns, delayed appropriations, massive economic costs, the last thing we need when the economy is fragile. The fact is, shutdown costs money, jobs, service. The US economy losing up to 2% of GDP in 4 quarters, that's real. But more than money, it's a question of legitimacy. If the rules protect the minority always, fine. But if they become weapons to block the people's will, then you're stuck in administrative paralysis. So what's the conclusion? What's the conclusion? If you are conservative, the left's fury at the filibuster when they face a majority is less about principle and more about obstructing opposing values. Globalism, PC culture, big government, open borders, endless redistribution. And when the tables turn, they cry undemocratic. It's worth calling that out smartly and with facts because these inconsistencies weaken trust in institutions and power over centralized power, harm economic growth, and ironically hurt the very people the progressive left pretend to champion. In short, we're at a crossroads. Either we accept that majorities can govern, or we entrench minority vetoes turned weapon. The left wants the latter when they're winning, but the former when they're losing. It's time to highlight that inconsistency, demand clarity, and hold them accountable.